Build, gather, and fight. Those three words encompass everything about a brand new survival RTS that will pit you against a horde of tens of thousands of demons. Hey there friends, it's Codiak here, welcome to Legacy Gaming. Today, we're checking out Age of Darkness, an early access gothic RTS to determine if it's worth your time. Age of Darkness is a game I really didn't see myself having time to play, but a nice holiday break gave me enough of a chance to check out this early access survival RTS. Straight up, I'm a sucker for city builders. Throw in a dark fantasy universe and some survival elements, and you've got me hooked. As always, let's approach this from a 30,000 foot view and then drill down on some of the more specific systems you need to know about. Age of Darkness is a survival RTS where you build up a small hamlet, send out your hero to vanquish the encroaching darkness, and when the demon horde grows too large, defend your village through a combination of towers, troops, and walls. As you'd expect, things start off very simple, with a keep, a few villagers, and a small squad of soldiers. From the jump, the game's divergent systems take control. On one hand, you have to build up your town, generating resources like food, wood, and stone that you'll use to keep expanding and recruiting new soldiers. On the other hand, you have your hero. At the moment, there are only two options in the game, but remember, early access. Sending them out early is essential to getting them enough experience so that you can survive the ensuing hordes. It's a balancing act, one that you have to constantly manage. Spend too much time focusing on one over the other, and you'll fail to survive a death knight. This is the general cadence of the game: build, adventure, defend, survive. It's an addicting formula, even in its early access state, but to really understand what Age of Darkness is, you need to drill down a bit more. Age of Darkness can most easily be broken down into three distinct parts. Once you get a grasp on those, you'll have a pretty clear understanding of the game as a whole. In terms of the building, this is probably one of the most straightforward building systems I've seen in an RTS. There's no real room for flexibility. You have to build a certain way almost every time so you can keep up with the pace of the difficulty. I can definitely see some people disliking this. Part of the fun of building a city is the freedom to create your own way, but with the survival aspects of Age of Darkness always a looming threat, it became clear to me that function was more important than form. By the end of the round, my city was a sprawling mess, not because I didn't plan things out, but because you have to keep expanding if you hope to survive. Like I said before, everything here is straightforward. Food huts provide you with food, which brings in new villagers. Lumberyards bring in wood so you can keep creating buildings. It's a very no-frills approach to building a city, but given the incredible dark, almost gothic nature of the game, I think it works. I guess in my head, if I knew a demon horde was just outside the city walls, I wouldn't be concerned with extravagance. I'd want to survive, whatever the cost. I rather enjoyed the building process, and by the end of my first real game, I was proud of what I had accomplished, a sprawling village that managed to hold off multiple waves of demons. Would I do it the exact same way next time? Probably not, but it's because of that straightforward building process that I was able to quickly wrap my head around the concepts and make adjustments for the future. Things are still clearly in the works when it comes to the building. In the latest update, a number of new buildings were added, like the Trade Bazaar and Fishing Port. These new structures are definitely adding some more depth to the city building aspect of the game. The Fishing Port, which you put on a body of water, allows you to collect fishing traps for coin, but it's another thing you have to pay attention to. Let them go untapped and you gain nothing. The Trade Bazaar, on the other hand, will be familiar to any medieval city building fan. The building allows you to buy and sell goods, and as you'd imagine, this is a game changer when it comes to scrapping together resources in a pinch. Things are going in the right direction, but the one real catch is that lack of freedom I mentioned earlier. The game is about survival, and to survive, you need to build and research a certain way. That process really doesn't change from game to game. You just get better at doing that dance, and while that's not a problem for me, some folks may not enjoy the rigidity. One thing I really enjoy about Age of Darkness is just how true they stick to the theme. That dark gothic vibe allowed them to create some really interesting heroes, and while there are only two in the game right now, I feel as if both managed to carve out such a unique space in the game. Right now you can play as Edwin, Wielder of the Flame, or Alice, the Queen of Nothing. Both characters are melee oriented and each bring something different to the table. Edwin is somewhat like a paladin, capable of emboldening allies, as well as cleaving demons in two with his greatsword. Alice, on the other hand, is a bit more unique. She can summon guards to protect her, and can force allied soldiers to attack faster at the cost of their max HP. She's a flawed hero in a way, and honestly, I enjoy that. Your heroes are absolutely pivotal if you hope to survive the Death Knight, as they do insane amounts of damage and have abilities that can turn the tide in a battle. The one catch is, you need to train them right from the beginning. The game doesn't tell you this, but it becomes apparent pretty quickly that you need to send out a scouting party if you hope to keep your hero alive long term. Just like the building, this is a pretty straightforward endeavor. Demons litter every corner of the unexplored map, and you need to be careful about how you approach your scouting. Lose too many troops and you'll waste time building back up a scouting party when you'll need soldiers for that Death Knight defense, but manage to keep chipping away at the hordes and you'll steadily gain experience that will make your hero an absolute bastion during that long night. There are a few additional things in the mix here, like a basic skill tree that augments the different types of units at your disposal. One tree enhances melee fighters, the other enhances ranged units, and the final tree enhances siege units. It's a solid, albeit small system that allows you to allocate some of your precious resources to making your troops better, and it's a vital part of the preparation ahead of a defense. Additionally, there are points of interest that you can find while scouting, and if you manage to clear them out and hold them for a few seconds, you cap the point and a bunch of resources come sputtering out. In all honesty, it gives you a small goal while scouting. Instead of aimlessly wandering around killing demons, you're searching for these points of interest in hope that you can score some free resources and push your progression even further. Mastering the art of scouting is an essential pillar of Age of Darkness, but it's all in preparation for the ultimate challenge, the Death Knight. Everything up until this point has been gravy. The real challenge comes during the Death Knight, specific moments in the game where the gates of hell open up and hundreds of thousands of demons rush your hamlet. This is where all that building and scouting hopefully pays off. A day or two before the Death Knight, you get a heads up where the demon horde will attack you from. This allows you to prepare accordingly, but even with that advanced knowledge, the challenge is intense. During the first Death Knight, you'll most likely only have access to soldiers and archers, but as you reach the second and third waves, you should, if you've kept up with your research, have access to arbalists and sentinels, more advanced troops. Once the Death Knight begins, all bets are off, and there's very little you can do in the moment to react to hundreds of demons clawing down your walls and tearing apart your towers. You'll know pretty quickly if your choke points will hold or if it's a doomed effort, but for those few brief moments in between, it's fun to wait and watch and see if your preparations were enough. Death Knights make up the third pillar of Age of Darkness, and it's a fun, chaotic mess, but not perfect. One of the things I really don't like about these attacks are just how congested everything gets. It's a simple numbers game. The computer throws hundreds or even thousands of enemies at one choke point, and then you wait and see if you survive. There's a lack of strategy involved, and as the ultimate challenge within the game, I was just hoping for a little more. Every time a Death Knight rolls around, you do have to deal with a malice, which is an additional effect associated with that round of defending, but that hardly changes the base gameplay. Again, this is an early access game and things are still being tweaked, adjusted, and added, so I don't want to be overly critical because it just wouldn't be fair, but right now, the Death Knight leaves a lot to be desired. Ultimately, if you do survive the night, you're rewarded with a boon, a special bonus that persists for the rest of that game. When you survive a horde, you get a few options to choose from, and these can play directly into your particular playstyle. It's a nice bit of choice in the game that doesn't have a ton of flexibility to begin with, and it makes surviving a Death Knight feel a bit more meaningful. I went into Age of Darkness with a pretty open mind. I haven't played a ton of survival RTS games, so I was ready and willing to see what the game had in store for me. As a longtime fan of city builders, I gravitated to that aspect of the game, but soon realized I couldn't put all my eggs in that one basket. The presentation of the game is great, and the Gothic setting helps it stand apart from other RTS games. And while many will still compare Age of Darkness to They Are Billions, I think once we exit early access, both games will easily stand on their own. Age of Darkness has a lot of things going in the right direction, from the overall vibe to the straightforward gather and build loop to the hero design and gameplay. However, the game isn't perfect. There are still aspects that need to be refined, namely the Death Knight. The game launched into early access in October 2021, which means at the time of making this video, we're only a month into that process, and already we've seen new heroes, buildings, and gameplay changes occur, which to me is a good sign of things to come. While I really enjoy the direction Age of Darkness is going, I'm hesitant to outright recommend it, which is why at this time, I'd say the game is maybe worth your time. In a few months, after some more serious work is put into the game, that $20 price tag may be a bit more palatable. Right now, there's enough in the game to win over super fans of the RTS genre, but if you're a more casual player looking for a new game that's polished to a shine, this just isn't there yet. I do believe Age of Darkness will get there at some point, all the indicators are there, but for now, it might be best to keep an eye on the progression of the game and wait to strike when the iron is hottest. Age of Darkness is on the right track, and it's a game I enjoyed, even in its early access state. Hopefully, we've shown and talked about enough of the game system so that you can make an informed decision about whether or not to spend your money on this new survival RTS. If you did find this worth your time review helpful, do me a solid and hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing. There are so many big games coming out in 2022, and if you're looking for a new take on some of the year's biggest titles, we've got you covered. We also invite you to join us on Discord. We've got a great group of around 7,000 members, so if you're looking for a new community to interact with, check out the link in the description below. Finally, if you like everything we're doing here at Legacy Gaming and you want to support us even more, you can do so by becoming a member. For just a couple bucks, you're helping evolve the channel and take our community to that next level. Check out the join button below to learn more. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.